Hi there, it's Kelly, the Sunshine Crafter. I'm one of the design team members over at Missing Stamps, and for today's video, I'm going to be using a few of the products from Missing Stamps. One of the products is the In and Outs Hollywood Stencil. This thing is off the hook genius. They have several of them in their shop, and I definitely am loving them. I'm also going to be using a sparkle stencil and the Common Bright stamp and Season Greetings. This is such a great little set, and I love the font. And I'm going to be using some distress inks. I'm going to be using Kitsch Flamingo, Salvage Patina, and Shaded Lilac. And I'm also using a white pigment ink for one of the stencils, and I'll show you that here in a moment. The next item I'm going to be using is a Score Pal, Score Buddy, or whatever you want to call it. I have the 12 by 12, but any size will do. And I'm going to be using that later on in the video. So to begin, I'm using that Hollywood stencil, the In and Out stencil. This thing is absolutely genius. They have several different designs. This one is the Hollywood design. And it's so versatile. You can use just the frame, or you could use the inside, in and out, hence the name. And it has this frame that goes around the outside, and it was so unique. I just love these stencils. I was hoping for a product like this, and Missing Stamps came out with it, and I'm very happy that they did. Okay, moving on. I'm stamping my images and my sentiment in black tuxedo ink from Memento. And now this image is, I'm not great at coloring, so this image is just perfect for me because it's such tiny little leaves. And I just used a couple green Copic markers and a little brown and teal and purple for my owl. But I didn't show the coloring because it's really nothing special. There's not even any shading really, so that's why I just took that out of the video. The next step is I took a black India ink pen and I went around my sentiment to give it a black outline. Now here I want to show you, I used the first stencil, my original one, the In and Out stencil, and then I kept that on my image. And then I put the sparkle stencil on top because I only wanted that sparkle stencil inside of my blended ink area. So I used a small blending brush and I just put in the white pigment ink, and you can see how nice it worked. So the first stencil acted as a mask to protect the outside areas from getting more white pigment ink where I didn't want it. So once I remove that, you can see I'm just going to dry that, hit that with my heat tool because pigment ink takes a little bit longer to dry. Now here comes the magic of this In and Out stencil. Now you line it up and it creates a frame. Now, I mean, black is classic, you know, it kind of goes with everything. So I made a black frame for my image here, and this stencil, it's so cool. It just makes this just a great frame around any blended image. I mean, it doesn't even have, you could just use the frame alone just to frame a flower, a critter, anything you want to bring focus to. Now here comes the next step. With doing this, you can do it sideways, you can do it on an angle. I wanted to make embossed lines on an angle. So what I did was I have a little score tool from Trinity Stamps, and the reason you can use any score tool with this. The reason why I use this is because it's got a nice fine point. You can also use those little metal ones. They have like metal embossing tools. You can use, like, for people use them to like flowers and stuff like that. You can use one of those, and you see I just did it slowly. I just want to show you. I didn't go over my entire image. I just went in the grooves up until where you see. I didn't want to put the lines where my blended area is. So I just carefully went on an angle and just went on the white areas of my panel. And I'm just going to continue that until my panel is complete. Now I'm just showing you here, you can go as fast or slow as you want. I was watching TV as I did this. I had my, I was filming, but I was also watching TV as I did it at the same time, multitasking. That is why I am a super slow crafter, because I tend to do more than one thing at one time. So I'm going to speed it up here because it's pretty redundant, and I just want to show you that you can, once you create the groove, you can just go from the bottom up, because when you go on an angle from the top, you don't know where the track starts. So you can go from the bottom. And I went right over the tape. I used a little piece of masking tape, and that kept it, it was thin enough, post-it tape or whatever you want to call it. It was thin enough where I can just go right over it, and it would still put the lines in my panel. It's hard to see on camera, but it really does give a nice textured effect. You can see here, I mounted it onto a card base with a black mat. I added foam tape to the back of my Christmas tree and my sentiments, and I'm going to lay that out here. And once that's adhered to my panel, I'm going to take a white Posca pen, and I'm just going to put some little dots in the corners of my panel, of my, my ink blended areas. I don't know. I don't know why I did that. I just thought it might look nice. So I did that, and then I also took a Wink of Stella, and I put that over my snow, which in hindsight was kind of silly because off camera, after I filmed, I end up putting white stickles on top of the snow. But here you see what I'm going to do is take some of that Tim Holtz, what's it called, Snowfall, and I'm going to take a little, this is like a little, like an acrylic tool. It's meant for like watercoloring and clay, things like that, just to make lines in art projects. And I just took a little piece of that, and I put a tiny bit of that Snowfall for the texture on top of the snow on my tree. And again, after I did this, I added stickles, but you'll see that in the photographs at the end. If you stick around, you'll see. Now I took another tool that was a little bit more pointy, and I was able to get in the smaller areas where the snow is. So once that was all done, I set it aside to dry. And then again, like I said, I put stickles on top of the snow, so it really came out pretty cool. It's a lot of texture on this card, and it's that sparkle and that snow really gives this card a little something extra special. So you can see it here. When I turn it on an angle, you can see it a little bit better. The stickles isn't on it yet, but you'll see it on the photos at the end. And that's pretty much it. This is an older set from Miss Ink Stamps, but it's such a nice one, and it's so easy to make nice cards with these images. Now you see here, I'll zoom in a moment, you see here, you can see the stickles. Again, it's also hard to capture that on camera, but I just used a little bit of stickles and it looks really pretty. It captures the light, and the light really nice, has a lot of sparkle. So thank you so much for stopping by, and if you get a chance, please check out Miss Ink Stamps for more inspiration from the design team. Thanks guys, take care, bye-bye.